everybody, welcome to Miriam's Online Academy. Today we're learning Billy Joel's Piano Man. Hey everybody, my name is Stu Harrison. Thanks so much for joining us for another round of Miriam Online Academy. We're going to be looking at Piano Man by Billy Joel today. Now, I've picked Piano Man for a couple of very good reasons. Probably the biggest reason is that when I was younger, growing up, learning how to play the piano, and I actually started as a classical musician, Piano Man was the very first pop song that I learned how to play, where if I walked into a room as a teenager, whether it was adults who were around me or teens around me or anybody, I started to play the song, everybody immediately recognizes it, and everybody's thinking, oh man, this guy knows how to play piano. So, as somebody who loves to see other people get excited about piano, there's nothing that does that more quickly than teaching you a couple songs that gives you that excitement, that gives you that satisfaction of being able to sit down and play a song that everybody just instantly knows. It's a really cool feeling. So if you're just at the beginning of your stages of learning piano, this is something to look forward to. And for those of you who've been playing a while, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We all love bringing out those songs that people know how to play. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is that for as well known as it is, it's actually a fairly easy piano piece to learn how to play. And it's in C major, which for piano players is like the dream key to learn how to play. Because for the most part, as long as you're hitting any note that's white, it's not a wrong note. So that helps too. Now, the first thing about Piano Man that makes it a little bit different than most pop songs these days is that it's not in 4/4. So as we're looking at any piece of sheet music, there's always going to be a time signature that's right in the top left-hand corner of the page. It's right at the beginning of the staff. And what that tells you is how many beats or how many pulses there are per bar. And so that's how the music feels to us. You know, when you'd be listening to it, when are you stomping your feet? What are the pulses that you're feeling in your body? And so a lot of pop songs these days, I would say 99% of them are in 4/4, meaning like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a very, very common feel. We're all used to hearing that, or even like dance music is always like, it's always 4. So what's a little bit different about Piano Man, it's actually in 3. So this is going to feel more like a waltz. And so a waltz really goes like a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So when people are learning this song, one of the most, I think, successful ways in which you learn it is when you can really feel that pulse and you can communicate that pulse. Because it's really a dance. You know, the Piano Man is like a traditional kind of bar room dance. So even if you strip away all of the notes, you can kind of still feel the song moving along in 3. So that's the first lesson about Piano Man, is it's really important to keep that pulse going all the way through, because that's really going to be what gets people around you into the song and enjoying the song, is that pulse of 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. And you're going to notice that as I'm doing that, beat 1 is getting a bit more of an emphasis than beats 2 and 3. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's really important. It does not have the same feel if it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This doesn't work. Doesn't work. Hundreds of years of testing in dance rooms all around the world prove doesn't work. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So that's really important. And so what I've got here is, it's an arrangement by Piano Man. It's a bit simplified. It's available through Hal Leonard, and we have our purchased copy here with us today as well. And I really like this particular arrangement, so you can find it on the Hal Leonard site, or you can find it on Sheet Music Digital, which is another Hal Leonard affiliate site. And what's great is it takes a lot of the complexity out of the song without you losing any of the important bits that people are going to recognize. So I'm going to play exactly what's on the page right here, so you can see and hear what these notes sound like, and then we're going to break it down into nice little chunks that are going to make it easier for you to learn. So we're going to play Piano Man by Billy Joel. This is the Easy Piano Hal Leonard edition, so it's easy for you to find yourself. And here we go. I realized that it flipped over to the other page, but you can recognize it. It sounds like the Piano Man. So it's a little bit simplified, but all the important bits are there. So could you hear that I was going 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3? That's really important. So before you even start on your own, what I'd suggest is I'm going to play the same thing again, and just at home, whether you're in front of the piano or trying to start to figure out the notes, just see if you can really start to feel that 1, 2, 3. Okay, so and 1, 2, 3. So it really helps, right? Okay, so here's the best way, in my opinion, to start to learn how to play the chords to Billy Joel's Piano Man. First of all, your hands don't really have to move that much. If you know what the word triad means, or even just a chord, essentially a chord is a set of notes that has a particular harmony, particular sound. So C major chord, a lot of you probably know at home, is a C, an E, and a G, and then of course you can add other notes to that to give it different color, like a major or a dominant, but 1, 2, 3. So the first, the third, and the fifth is really what C major is. Piano Man is built all around basic triads. So the fact that it's built around basic triads and it's in C major makes this really fun to learn. So we start essentially with a C major chord. So in your left hand, your fifth finger is going to be on C, and your thumb is going to be on G, and that's it. So the first 4 bars in your left hand are just that's it. Now, if you want to get a little fancier, you can actually change your fingers a little bit so you're not just using your thumb. So you could do 5 and 2, 1, 2, 3, thumb, thumb. But either way, that's all there is to the left hand for the first intro, for the first 8 bars. That's what's going to get people turning their heads. Now, in the right hand, it's almost that simple as well. So, in the right hand, the notes you're going to play are C major, and then the next chord is going to be an F major, but starting on the C, and so that sounds like this. And then a C without the E, and then just 3 notes. So even just to get your hand in the right position, this is what I like to suggest, is just spend a few minutes practicing just playing the chords in the left hand and the chords in the right hand. So the first bar, you're just going to play this. And then the second bar, you're going to play this. And then the third bar, we're going to play this. And then the fourth bar has those 3 extra notes. This might take you a little bit to get the first time. So this is what this sounds like now when we get into our 1, 2, 3, 2. So I'm still not playing exactly what's on the page. I'm simplifying it even further, just down to chords. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. So even that, you'd never mistake that for anything except Piano Man. If you heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, Billy Joel's Piano Man. So breaking it down into the most basic chunks, what really works well is that if you can learn the chords as well as the notes, then it makes it easier to like jam over this tune as well. If you've got a guitar player with you or a singer and you want to just sort of riff a little bit on it without sticking straight to the sheet music. So here's where we're going to add the extra notes, the intro. So we know we've got our hand in this position. So even though we're going to start playing individual notes, our hand actually doesn't need to move at all. So we're going to slow it down a little bit. So we're going to go around 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So if you're watching my right hand here, you're going to notice that my hand is actually not moving at all, even though individual notes are moving. So 1, again, and that's the intro. So take a little bit of time and just focus on those first 2 lines, which is really the intro. Because here's the thing, once you're comfortable with the intro, most of the rest of the song is going to come very, very easily. So rather than sort of trying to muscle through the entire thing without feeling totally comfortable with the chords, what I would suggest is that you spend, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes just repeating those first 2 lines until they become really, really comfortable, you know? Now, something else you might notice that I'm doing is, for people who are a little bit newer to piano, you'll notice that I'm using my right foot to press this right pedal. And a lot of people who are asked, when they first start, often ask teachers, like, when should I be using the pedal? And of course, when everybody first starts, they just love the sound of the pedal because it sounds like this big orchestra is all of a sudden playing instead of a regular piano, you know? Or the classic. Everybody does that. But here's where sort of the best practice for if you're not quite sure what to do with the pedal in a pop tune. Generally speaking, you can usually get away with just pushing the pedal down every time you cross a bar line. It can be a little bit more complicated than that, but if you wanted a place to start, that's a really good rule. Is essentially anytime you have a bar line, change the pedal, which means just let it go quickly and then push it back down. So just changing on the bar line, this is what it sounds like. So for the most part, that works. There's a few bars in there where it starts to sound a little bit blurry, but as your ear starts to hear that, you can change how you're pedaling. But as a general rule to start with, that works in most pop tunes, and it definitely works in Piano Man. So moving on from the intro, which of course is just the first 2 lines there, now we get into what's called the verse. And this is where, on the recording, Billy Joel starts to sing. Now, I am not about to start to sing. You do not want me to start to sing. But for those of you who are vocally inclined at home, maybe that's something you can experiment with, is just adding in your own voice once you're feeling really comfortable with what's on the piano. So, just like the intro, and you remember I said once you learn the intro, the rest of the song gets really easy. This is true, because if you've got this, next part gets a lot easier. So, what I would suggest, because there's a couple of syncopated rhythms in this, and so syncopated rhythms means that you've got rhythms in your left hand that might be offsetting rhythms in your right hand, or rhythms that are just designed to purposely feel like they're on the upbeat so that it creates a bit of tension in the music. So, when the first time you start to do this on a couple of piano pieces, it's sort of like, you know, a little bit of this. Once you know how to do it, it's no problem, but you have to sometimes really think about it and slow it down so that you don't get too frustrated. So, just like anything else, slow and steady wins the race with this one. So, so try that with me, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. And if you want to do just one hand at a time and join me, that's okay too. Just use your right hand or just use your left hand to follow along what I'm doing. We'll start again on the third line here. There you go. So you could rewind the video a few times, practice that first verse, and if you have to, it's okay to just start with one hand at a time until you feel comfortable, and then add the two together. So we're going to move on to the second page. So you'll notice that after the first little verse section, it actually plays the intro again. So So that's the second page, and that takes us right up to the point where we were about to start the chorus. Sing us a song, blah, blah, blah. Like I said, you don't want me singing. Now, in this version, the second verse, they have you play up an octave, which means you go from this area up to this area on the piano. So this might take a little bit of time for you to figure out what all of these ledger lines means. If you're anything like me, when you're first learning a piece, it's not a bad thing to cheat and just mark a little letter next to some of these notes so that you feel totally comfortable with what you're reading. Because if you're not that good with ledger lines and you're looking up and go, okay, so that's 2, so that's a C, so that's a D up there. Well, you don't want to have to stop and figure that out every time until you're totally comfortable. So you can go through and actually just mark with a pencil what note's up there, because that's going to help you be a little less intimidated with those sections. So I'm going to start from here again, and I'm going to go nice and slow. So again, you've got a bit of a practice track that you can play along with just for this section, and you can just do right hand or left hand and rewind it as you need. So starting from here, and nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. We'll stop there. So what I always like to do when I'm learning any piece, and you'll notice I'm doing it with this piece, is I'm dividing it up into chunks, into sections, so that as I can learn one section at a time, because it's a lot easier to practice one section at a time, first of all, I can feel good when I get that section done, and it sort of encourages me to keep going on with the rest of the song. So I would never, ever, ever suggest that when you first sit down to start learning a pop tune, that you practice by just sort of muscling through it time after time after time. I would divide it up into nice little chunks, which are still musically fun to play, and then focus on those sections until they're feeling really comfortable. And then you can move on. So you sort of learn the song in stages, but as you're going, you still kind of feel it every time that, oh yeah, I'm playing Piano Man, instead of never really having anything to show for it until the whole thing's properly learned. And I bet you it's going to make it just a little bit more fun and relaxing to tackle things like this. So we're going to move on again to the third page, and we're going to call this our next section. So almost onto our fourth page. So one thing that this arrangement does, which is a little different than the original song, is they've shortened this a bit so that you don't have to play through all the verses as a piano player. And they've put in what's called a key change. You probably already knew that, but what a key change can do, especially if you are just playing this as a piano player, is it just adds a bit of interest, it makes it sound a little bit more exciting, and it really keeps your audience nice and engaged. So you'll notice that at the end of the fourth line, there's this key change from C major to G major, and we can see that on the page where it adds this one sharp on there. That means that everything after this line is no longer in C, it means it's in G, which means all of the Fs are now sharps, unless it says so otherwise. And then it gives it a bit of a different sound. So I'm going to play through the third page again at regular speed, and then we're going to slow it down just like we have on the other two pages, so you can practice one hand at a time getting through that page. So here we go. course, that's the end of the page. So we're going to slow that down, and I'm going to break it down even more so that we're going to end this little slow motion section right when we hit the G major. We're on page 3, and we're going to be, again, just here's the slow motion section for you to be able to practice on, and we're going to be stopping right when we get to the key change. So. And of course we would be into the key change. So use that slow motion section, rewind that as many times as you need to, again, practice it either separately or together until that's feeling nice and comfortable. And now we're going to move into the final section of the song, which is the key change section. So I'll play 1 bar into it so it kind of sounds right. Actually, we're going to go 2 bars in. So I'm going to be starting right here, and then we're going to go on from there. And I'll do it again at regular speed, and then we're going to slow it down for you. We're going to change the page here. Okay, and once more, we're going to slow that down for you to be able to practice. And starting again right here. Okay, so thank you so much for watching the tutorial. We are going to leave you with a full play down of it just for fun at the very end, but please do join us for other tutorials on Miriam Online Academy. Again, my name is Stu Harrison, and thank you so much for joining me today. Good luck at home. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Thanks for watching Merriam Music's how-to video series. Check back here for more videos and don't forget to subscribe below.